Welcome friends, it is I, LostScarf, and it's time for the Short Smite Beginner Guide to Bacchus. That's right, the town drunk is here, and he is a wrecking machine that can handle a lot of damage, and he's just a really good support. So as always, this is a beginner guide, so there's going to be a lot of information for beginners to understand Bacchus so they can get well with him. For advanced and expert players, there probably isn't anything here new to you. If there is, that's great. But if there's anything you feel I did not elaborate on enough, you can go into the comments and say more information for beginners. That way they get more information so they can do better sooner. So let's party hard! Class and roles. Now Bacchus is a guardian. Now I emphasize that he's squishy at the start like all guardians are, because sometimes people take guardians into the fight a little bit too early and they're usually the first blood. You want to be a bit aggressive with a tank because they can deal some damage and take some damage, but at the start, you can be killed, so you want to be very careful about that. Once you get items in you, you're really hard to take out. And you're, of course, a good source of damage, CC, and tanking to cause a lot of trouble in team fights. Now, for beginners, you want to put him in the support role. He's just really good there. Thanks to Drink, and you only need like one level up for most of the match, you're able to handle a good amount of punishment. You're able to dish out a bit as well. The first level gets you up to Tipsy pretty quickly, so you can rely on your belch pretty early on in the game, which is really good. Now, if the enemy is aggressing you too much, because of Bacchus' tankiness and his ability to stun, you can back them off and set them up for a bad situation, especially if the jungler is nearby for a gank. Or, because of how aggressive he can be, you can push them into their tower so they lose XP and gold, which does open you up to ganks, so be careful of that. But Bacchus just has that versatility because of his tankiness and his surprising amount of damage he can dish out because of his drunkometer. But of course, a weakness he has is mana management, so you want to make sure you only drink when you really need to. As long as you do that, you should never really be in a bad spot. Now, later on in the match when you get built up, Bacchus is really good against enemy teams because he can disorient an entire team with his ultimate, he can even stun the whole team with his belch, and he can pop up all of them with his jump as well. He can do so many things to mess up the enemy team that everyone hates fighting him. So just focus on that. Be very annoying, and the enemy team will have a very hard time winning the game. Abilities. First up is his passive Drunk-O-Meter. Drinking fills up a meter. At Tipsy, Bacchus has 7% damage mitigation and 10 magical power. At Smashed, he has 14% damage mitigation and 30 magical power. This is why he's such a threat. He can take a lot of punishment and he can dish out quite a bit. Now his first ability is called Chug, and this is him drinking to fill up his passive. He also gains protection for 6 seconds, so it's good to initiate with drink before you do anything. Second ability is called Belly Flop. This is a leap attack that deals damage and slows enemies by 20% for 2 seconds, and it knocks them up, so it's a really good disorient. Bacchus' third ability is called Belch of the Gods. This is a channeling cone attack that he can move while he's casting it, and he is knockback immune during it, and it debuffs enemy heals. Also, if he's tipsy and the enemy gods are in the belch when it's over, they get stunned. And lastly is his ultimate Intoxicate. This is a large AoE attack around Bacchus, does a good amount of damage. All enemy gods that are hit with it wobble around for 8 seconds because they're kind of drunk. It's really funny what it does to them. And if Bacchus is smashed at the time, he gains a magical power buff, so Bacchus can be even scarier to deal with. Tips and combos. Now, unsurprisingly, a lot of these tips have to do with drinking. The first one is only drink in the Smashed when a fight is about to start. That way, you have it full bar ready for a fight so that you have that 14% mitigation, that extra damage for as long as possible. Next tip is always make sure you drink before initiating a fight for the defense bonus. Another is make sure you're tipsy before belching. Now this is usually just drink before belching because that'll get you to tipsy if you're at 0, so you're fine with that. Next tip is to make sure you are smashed before ulting, that way you get the bonus from smash, and of course, when you're ulting, try to get as many people as possible. Something important to note though is, when you are belching, make sure gods who can interrupt it are not able to interrupt it. Like if an enemy has a stun, you want them to use their stun before you belch on them, or you want to make them miss it somehow while you're belching on them so you get the stun and they don't stun you, because that's the only way to stop your belch. And lastly, remember that belch can be used to ignore knockbacks. This can be very crucial in a fight. Now, your combos are straightforward. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 3, 2, 4 depending on your situation. Now, if your opponent doesn't have some sort of escape but they already used it, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. That is, you drink, initiate with the leap to pop them up, then you go for the stun with belch, and then if you need to, you can use your ultimate to finish them off or set them up for a teammate, or maybe there's an enemy team around so you can get more people. The other combo is 1, 3, 2, 4, and this is you drink, initiate with belch to weaken and maybe get the stun. If they try to escape, then you can leap after them, and then use your ultimate if you need to because there's a group, or you're going to weaken them for your teammate or something like that. That's really what you want to consider, is just, if the enemy has an escape, when do you use leap? And if they don't have an escape, well then you can probably just go free leap, then there you go. Purchases. Now because Bacchus is primarily a support and also just because he's so good with it, Hog 3 is not a bad thing to get with him. You can clear things out, and when objectives happen, because of the way Bacchus works with his knock-up, with his stuns, he can steal objectives pretty well. So it's a good idea to always have Hog 3 with Bacchus. Now, if you're playing support, wards, of course, are going to happen as well. Besides that, whatever the current support meta build is, do with Bacchus. Bacchus is just ridiculous in this game. He's able to be very tanky, but also do a good amount of damage, and have a lot of CC that cause a lot of trouble in the game. So whatever build you do, for the most part, Bacchus will be able to pull it out, and he'll be very frustrating to deal with for the enemy team. Whatever your second active is, it can be anything for the most part. He is very malleable to what he can do, so you can get something that helps your team or serves yourself pretty well. It's just Bacchus, because of his defense and aggressive passive, is able to do a lot of things. In conclusion, Bacchus likes to eat, drink, and be merry. So go eat, drink, and be merry with the other team. Do it so much they hate you, because that is what you want to do. Bacchus can handle a lot of damage, he can deal out a lot of damage, and he can cause so much CC on the other team that he can disrupt a lot of team fights and just cause too much trouble for the other team to handle. So that is the Bacchus guide right there. Share it with your friends, share it with other people so more people get better with Bacchus. In general, that is the goal of these guides, is for people to get better at the game so you can have better opponents and better teammates in the game. So I hope you found this very helpful as far as knowledge goes of Bacchus and just doing better at the game. You should give it a sub because we make a lot of guides for Smite, and there's going to be a lot more in the future. Up next is going to be Bacchus, and he should be a lot of fun. He is a master of the jungle and the soul lane. Both take a bit of work, but he can do very well with them, so that'll be the next guide. So there you go. Hope you found it informative. Hope you had a lot of fun watching this guide. I know I had fun making it. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.